Today is the 1st of April, so I'm not sure what MMA news I can really trust. Okay? I saw a post from Full Violence earlier today saying that Yuri Prohaska was moving up to the heavyweight division to fight John Jones at UFC 290 International Fight Week. I immediately knew that was a joke. For a second I was like, oh, it's the 1st of April. It's a joke. Then I saw another post by John Kavanagh saying that International Fight Week was going to be the comeback date for McGregor versus Chandler, and said that he can't wait to get back in there. The date is finally set. McGregor's going to be back at UFC 290's main event. And then he put a little meme in the comments of the tweet, I guess, the replies of the tweet, which was just a little meme of a person smirking at the camera. So obviously that's a joke. But there's no way this one's a joke as well. Wonderboy versus Pereira. That's a really weird, obscure April 1st joke. I believe this one, okay? Wonderboy versus Michel Pereira in the works for UFC 289 on the 10th of June. I called this would happen. I've been saying this would happen for a very long time. This would be a really weak, obscure, honestly pathetic April Fool's joke if this is what it is from Full Violence, okay? He even put in the comments, not April Fools. But that's exactly what someone who is doing April Fools would say. So I'm still not letting him off the hook. But I believe this one. I really do believe this one. Because I knew this one was potentially in the works behind the scenes. It was either Michel Pereira or it was Jack Della Maddalena. I guess it's Michel Pereira, and now we can have a bit more clarity on what's going to be happening next in the welterweight division moving forward. We've got Wonderboy, Michel Pereira, June. UFC 289. First of all, I'm so glad that card's getting some kind of attention because it's a really weak pay-per-view card and it takes place on the 10th of June. We have about 10 weeks, 9 weeks until that fight takes place or that fight card takes place, and we really need to start getting some fights added to that card. But this is a perfect main card fight for that pay-per-view that I'm really interested by. A striker's dream matchup as well. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good one. Wonderboy versus Michel Pereira. Michel Pereira, of course, barely ranked in a division, which is pretty interesting. He's getting a big jump up now. He was supposed to be fighting Sean Brady, so I knew he was ready on the sidelines. There was a question maybe if whether or not he would step in and fight Michael Chiesa, but Chiesa's fight's been pulled off the UFC 287 card, so I have no idea what's going to be happening with him. We'll have to see what goes down. But yeah, number 15, Michel Pereira versus number 7, Stephen Thompson. It makes all the sense in the world because Wonderboy is not going to be looking to take on any kind of grappler in the welterweight division, so he's going to wait around and get Michel Pereira. However, could Michel Pereira shoot some takedowns on Wonderboy? I know this is a striker's dream matchup, and Michel Pereira in his heart will want to express himself in the striking department against Wonderboy. But he's also been training a lot in the other departments of his game. And I've seen him many a time, including against Zalim Imadiev, a Dagestani fighter, just pick him up, dunk him on the ground, and choke him out. He has grappling skill. So I don't think this is just as easy as saying, well, it's going to be a stand-up fight, so Wonderboy's going to win. Michel Pereira's shot takedowns before. You know what I mean? He'll go on top position and throw some strikes if Wonderboy does end up on the ground. And I don't see Wonderboy KOing him in a 3-rounder. Maybe he could get a finish in the 3rd. Who knows? But Michel Pereira might shoot a takedown here. I am going to be leaning towards Wonderboy Thompson regardless of if Michel Pereira shoots a takedown, because even when Gilbert Burns had Wonderboy down, he couldn't really do too much to Wonderboy in those positions. So Wonderboy might not have the best ground game, but he knows how to survive in those positions, even against Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad did a really good job in the grappling against Wonderboy, but Wonderboy was still able to survive, get himself to a better position, work his way towards the cage. So I don't think Pereira's going to dominate if he does mix up the grappling, but it might be enough to mix it up on Wonderboy enough to where he could land maybe a fake level change flying knee or something crazy that he goes for a lot in his fights. This is a great matchup though. Michel Pereira's a massive guy for the division, a massive dude for that division. I mean, I can't state that enough. He is one of the biggest welterweights on the roster outside of Hamzat Chimaev maybe and Shavkat Rakhmonov. He is a large man. 6'1", I believe, at welterweight, and actually 6'1", not like a UFC 6'1". I think his height is actually true, and he's not a skinny dude either. So this is going to be a great matchup. I will have to side with Wonderboy though, because Michel Pereira, time and time again, has let me down with the really let me down with his performances, especially going into the third round. I always think, oh my god, he's having a great performance right now, and then I see him in the third round and I'm like, damn, there's Michel Pereira that can lose. You know, he had that great performance against Zelim Amadiev, amazing performance there. Then he beat Chaos Williams in a very tit-for-tat fight, very technical back-and-forth fight that he had there. And he did mix in some takedowns there as well. That's the interesting part about this matchup. Against Nico Price, he won the first 2 rounds clearly. But then the third round, he was getting beaten up pretty badly. You know what I mean? A little bit more of a beating for another minute. That could have been a 10-8 round. Then he beat Andre Fialho by decision. Split decision over Ponzinibbio. I'm going to have to lean towards Wonderboy, but Michel Pereira has been training for Sean Brady. A pure grappler style fighter that would not pose any threat on the feet to Michel Pereira whatsoever. So Michel Pereira has definitely been working on his grappling in his last training camp. And if he's smart and really cares about his career, and this is where I might be flip-flopping or flip-flapping on the decision here. Flip-flopping, should I say. If he's a genius and doesn't have low IQ like Kevin Holland and just want to put on a show and actually cares about the future of his career, he'll take advantage of this. He's just worked a whole training camp of grappling. He's 29. It's now or never to get to the top. He might have one more chance after this, but you don't want to risk that with the upcomers that we have at welterweight at the moment. He might just shoot a takedown and take down Wonderboy. But I love this fight on the Canada card at UFC 289. This also gives us a little bit of clarity when it comes to the rest. Also, I like Michel Pereira's, he doesn't really throw like an idiot when he knows that he's in there with a dangerous striker. He'll stay at range, way out of range at times, and just chop at the legs and, you know, go to the body with front kicks. Like, he'll be a very patient, low-risk fighter when he knows there's danger in front of him. We saw that against Chaos Williams. But Wonderboy's different on the feet, of course. But that last fight with Holland, he took some shots. You know what I mean? It was a crazy fight. I think he hurt his foot in that fight, hurt his hand in that fight as well. So I don't mind Michel Pereira as an underdog here. To be honest with you, someone's got to catch Wonderboy again at some point, and Michel might be the guy to do it. Might have been the guy to do it. People are easily saying, 30-27 clinic, but man, Michel Pereira, I can just see it. They end up in a scuffle. Wonderboy ends up on the ground. Michel Pereira's like, oh my god, I'm getting on him. Bang, bang, bang. Big shots. You know what I mean? They end up in a scuffle. Michel Pereira gets the body lock, takes the back, picks up Wonderboy, dunks him, lands big shots, looks for the rear naked. I can just see him not Kevin Hollanding this. And I can see his coaches pleading with him for the build-up of this. We're taking this guy down. Have a bit of fun on the feet. Get some respect on the feet early on. And then start shooting for takedowns and try and work some damage from there. Because he can still... What the fuck was that? Something came out my tooth. He can steal rounds that way against Wonderboy. You know what I mean? If he plays it real patient, real slow, you can make it close with Wonderboy. And then boom, a little takedown at the end of the round. Couple ground and pound shots. That's Michel Pereira's round. So it's not like Wonderboy is a crazy guy that puts pace on you and pressure on you in fights. We saw that in his last one, but that was just the kind of fight that unfolded. Michel Pereira can dictate how fast this one's happened. So I'm leaning Wonderboy at the moment, but man, I wouldn't be surprised. I really would not be surprised if Michel Pereira gets the upset here. Great fight on the UFC 289 card. And yeah, let's talk about how this affects the rest of the welterweight division. I guess that Jack Della Maddalena is not going to be fighting Wonderboy or Michel Pereira next. He was the other guy in the mix. He said he's actually got a fight and that everyone in the top 10 had turned him down, or 3 fighters in the top 10 had turned him down. And Vicente Luque is looking right there. And he's ready to come back. I saw it in Gilbert Burns' vlog. He's in shape and he's training with Gilbert Burns for his fight against Jorge Masvidal. And it's looking like Luque's itching to get back in there. Took a bit of damage in his last one, taking some time off. But I think he'll be looking to get back in there pretty soon. And sign me up for Jack Della Maddalena versus Vicente Luque on this pay-per-view card, on the UFC 290 International Fight Week prelim headliner, any of those positions on cards. Let's get that one done. I really like that fight. Luque versus Madalena is just a recipe for an all-time great fight. I would lean towards Jack Della Maddalena just because of how much damage Luque's taken, and he's so easily hittable, and you can't get hit by Jack Della Maddalena too often, or it will be very damaging. So I would side with JDM in that matchup. But yeah, we get a bit more clarity as well. Maybe we'll see Michael Chiesa versus a Jeff Neal, maybe a Michael Chiesa versus another up-and-comer just outside the rankings. If Kevin Holland beats Santiago Ponzinibbio, maybe he wants to make a quick turnaround and he'll end up fighting Michael Chiesa to get back into the rankings. You never know. And then obviously just feed Neil Magny to another up-and-coming prospect at some point. Maybe if Ian Gary gets past Daniel Rodriguez, they can do that matchup instead, or give Li Jingliang someone down the line. But yeah, really good. Gives us clarity in the welterweight division. Just need a bit more on that June pay-per-view card because they're going back to Canada and they haven't been there for a long time. And they might not be going back there for a long time. They don't have much Canadian talent right now. So, please, let's add a bit more to that card. I don't mind if it's like title fights that we don't really care about. You know what I mean? Or we care about, but they're not huge title fights. I don't mind if it's Nunes versus Aldana, co-main event, Brandon Moreno versus Alejandro Pantoja, feature fight, Zhang Weili versus Rose Namajunas 3, but just get another solid fight outside of Wonderboy versus Pereira on that card, like a Sean Strickland versus someone, or a Paulo Costa versus someone, or one of these names. Maybe this will be Chimaev's next fight, although it does say he's coming back in July for the Sweden card. We'll see what they end up going with. Maybe they won't do 3 title fights on this card. Maybe just 2. But we're going to need some big matchups. Like Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje 2. I heard Gaethje calling for that. Actually, scrap what I just said, because it sounds like a terrible card. Let's do... We have to have Nunes fight somewhere. You know what I mean? And they're not going to do a fight night, because that's insulting to her. Although she does belong on a fight night card. Nunes versus Aldana main event. It has to happen, right? Like, they got to take the L in that department. Co-main event, Brandon Moreno versus Alejandro Pantoja. Feature fight for 5 rounds, maybe. Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje 2. Gaethje's been calling for it. Poirier's looking to fight. No-brainer. Get it done. Open up the main card with Wonderboy versus Michel Pereira. And then another fight we need. Now, are they going to just put the Canadian fighter like Mike Mallet on the main card of that card? They might end up doing that and then might say, hey, Neil Magny, we need a favor on the main card versus Mike Mallet. But I think we need a bigger fight than that because those top 2 names in the main and co-main event aren't going to sell the pay-per-views for this card. So we need another decent sleeper fight to be on that card. And it might just end up being like a Magomed Ankalaev Jan Blachowicz rematch. I don't mind that. If that gets added to the card, somewhere on the main card there for 3 rounds this time, just for a title shot coming up soon, because we know Yuri will probably be fighting Jamal Hill around that time in July or August, so it'll be good to have a clear number 1 contender before then. Some kind of top light heavyweight matchup should also be on the main card there. Or see what Tuivasa's doing. You know what I mean? Maybe a Tuivasa Volkov or Marcin Tybura. I don't know. I don't even know about these matchups. But we got to make that card good. So hopefully they do it. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. Again, I hope this isn't some April Fool's thing. But I don't think it is. I think this is a legit post that just so happened to be today. The other post was the April Fool's one of Yuri moving up to heavyweight on short notice and fighting Jones, international fight. Well, not short notice, but... You know, I don't think this is an April Fool's one. And if it is, hey, I got content out of it. Because I don't give a fuck. See you later.